Hello, César. How is your investigation going?
It's at a standstill, frankly. It's this quatrain thing that's bothering me.
Why?
My father can't seem to recall those verses.
That's hardly astonishing. Nostradamus is no spring chicken.
True enough. But don't you have a copy of the quatrain so I can show it to him?
I gave it to the Queen. For that matter, she must have given it to you, didn't she?
She did. But I hoped you might have a version that was, let's say, more complete.
Are you insinuating I'm hiding something on purpose?
I would never do that.
I would hope not. Now leave me, I'm busy, and I'm no longer in the mood for talking with you.
I find him awfully touchy for someone with nothing to hide.
Hello.
Hello, César. Is your investigation progressing?
Little by little, yes. According to what I've seen, Philibert's death wasn't accidental.
Someone killed him? That seems impossible. Who could so hate a man of God, and one entrusted with such a noble mission to boot?
I haven't the slightest idea for the moment. I couldn't even say if there's a connection between his death and the others you reported to me.
There is one, that's for sure. The devil alone can foment murders. Don't forget that, and be careful.
Jean-Aimé, am I disturbing you?
Not in the least, my dear. What brings you here?
I like to walk here. The sight of all these books fascinates me.
I understand perfectly. I'd like to read them all, but I'm afraid I haven't the time.
You seem to have a lot to do, so I'll let you work.
Very well. See you later.
Hello, scribe.
Madeleine de Nostradam, I presume.
Indeed.
You shouldn't be here. You disturb the calm that prevails in this place. Your brother was authorized to go wherever he likes, but I've received no instructions concerning you. I would ask you therefore to leave, or at least not to bother me.
Smith?
What can I do for you?
I need to make a key from an impression, but I'm afraid it's kind of a difficult operation. Could you do it for me? I'd gladly do you a favor in return.
I don't know. What with the disease that's going around, I don't dare leave my house, though I would sorely like to. If you bring me one of your father's medicines, I'll make the key.
I'll go see with him about that.
No problem. I'll wait for you.
I'm looking for the recipe of a medicine to prevent catching the plague.
Unfortunately, there is no completely reliable miracle medicine. But I think that if my preparations are administered early enough, they're effective.
Tell me.
The easiest one to make is a vinegar to which you add garlic.
And that's enough?
Both products have antiseptic properties. A little vinegar every day is good for your health. As for garlic, it protects you from contagious diseases. But I also prepare a powder that gives off beneficial fumes. Unfortunately, I forgot the exact makeup. You should find the recipe and some ambergris on my desk.
It must be ready. These look like old quatrains. This is the quatrain that was so famous after the death of King Henry II. Some people thought it was a prediction of his death, following an eye wound during a tournament. And yet, it seems to me that there was another one which better fit the circumstances. It's just as I thought. This quatrain could correspond much more readily to the death of Henry II. For that matter, I'm ready to bet that it's this one that will be associated with the event in the end. This ingredient is too precious to be used if you don't know exactly what to do with it. All I have to do now is heat the whole thing. It must be ready.
Yes?
I have your medicine. Some anti-plague powder. Its fumes protect against the disease.
Thanks, Madeleine. You've lifted a great burden from me. Give me the impression of the key and come by later. I'll take care of everything.
No need to bother him for the moment. Is that my key sitting outside?
Yes, that's it. Take it. And thanks again for the bread and the medicine.
Thank you. Again? The Astronomia Magna of Paracelsus, AMP. What if Philibert's message referred to this work? Incredible, that Philibert. A star chart. That's interesting. I can't manage. So, Jean-Aimé, what's the mystery here? There's nothing more to be found in the writing desk, but perhaps Jean-Aimé has left some other interesting things around.
César, what are you doing here?
My job, Jean-Aimé, my job. My mission is to understand what's going on here. And it seems to me that you possess certain elements that could enlighten me.
That doesn't give you the right to search through my things.
Are you sure? Do you think we should ask the Queen's opinion about that? Her Majesty would surely be curious to know what you're hiding so carefully.
And to think I took you for a stand-up fellow, loyal and honest, like your father.
You really must take me for an ass. Do you think I'd fall for such hollow words?
Very well, César, calm down. There's no need to go to the Queen Mother. What you found is the original version of the prophecy written by your father. I gave her a version that was shorter, and above all, clearer. You know yourself how obscure Nostradamus' writings can be.
You pillage his labor and then you amputate it.
Simplified, I said. I just simplified it to make it more accessible. And in fact, my interpretation turns out to be right. Everything is occurring exactly as in my version of the prophecy.
To be sure. It's almost scary when you think about it.
What are you insinuating?
That I'll tell my sister to be on her guard.
Be very careful what you say, César. You won't always be able to hide in the shadow of the Queen Mother or of your blasted family.
So, the mask has fallen at last, Jean-Aimé. I think we have nothing left to say to each other for now.
Oh my God!
So here's the 9th victim of that ghastly prophecy. You have to accept the obvious, César. Nothing will check destiny.
Perhaps not, but I can defeat the one who is the instrument of that destiny. And in that respect, didn't you notice anything on your way back to your cell? You must have run into the murderer.
No.
That's really astonishing. You must have gotten here just a few seconds after his death.
First you search my things, then you accuse me of killing a man. I'm sorry your father isn't here. He'd make you eat those words.
Perhaps. Unless he shared my opinion. If he trusted you all that much, he wouldn't have sent me here. Whatever the case may be, we'll discuss it later. I've better things to do than quarrel.
The odor this letter gives off makes me think it comes from a woman. He most certainly was killed with a dagger. The one who did it must have had his trust. He could come close without the guard trying to defend himself. A little less than a royal foot. The one I'm looking for has rather small feet and must have blood on the bottom of his shoes. In fact, it's surprising I can't find any traces of it around here. The murderer must have taken off his shoes to get away. Without the birth date, it's impossible to determine the astrological sign. So this is where Catherine de Medici's guards rest. It must be because of the weapons here that entry is forbidden. The blade that killed the guard surely came from here. Brandy! If the guard emptied this today, it's not surprising he allowed himself to be stabbed without reacting.
I just found the other guard, who was stationed on the second floor. He's dead.
My lord, who would have dared? Did you see anything?
Unfortunately not. I arrived too late. But he was surely stabbed.
Stabbed? I can't believe it. He was an exceptional fighter, especially in hand-to-hand combat. I shall let Her Majesty know as soon as possible. In the meantime, do what you can. I can't leave my post, whatever happens.
Did you know him at all?
Very little. He wasn't very talkative.
Do you know if he has a girlfriend?
I think he was seeing Catherine de Medici's attendant, Constance.
Do you know where I can find the young lady?
Her room is behind you, on the right. She must be there now.
Constance?
Yes?
I'm César de Nostradamus. I'm conducting an inquiry concerning the deaths that have occurred recently.
Come in.
I have some bad news for you, mademoiselle. You were a good friend of the man who used to be the guard on the other side of this floor.
Jean? Why, yes. But why are you using the past tense? Oh, no! You mean that it was his turn? He's dead.
Unfortunately, I've been led to believe you were very close.
That depends on what you mean by close, young man. You want to know if we were lovers. Is that it?
I found a letter on him and, yes, that's it. Were you his mistress?
His mistress? If that were so, I obviously wouldn't be laughing like this with you, even if I find you very charming indeed. No, we were just lovers, but in fact, I hardly knew him. I'm sorry if I shock you, young César.
Not at all, mademoiselle. I'm merely surprised. It's the rose that made me misjudge your relationship.
A red rose speaks of passion, young man, which is very different from love. And men love to be flattered, do they not? Tell me, what is your favorite flower?
If you don't mind, we'll speak of petals later. A man has just died, and even if you weren't in love with him, you knew him sufficiently to be able to answer a few questions.
Charming and domineering. You're a surprising young man, César.
What can you tell me about the dead man?
His name was Jean. He was a soldier in the personal guard of Her Majesty Catherine de Medicis, and he was a strapping and sweet fellow who appreciated women. There. I don't see anything else to add.
Have you heard of the prophecy?
The famous quatrain written by your father that promises us other deaths?
I thought that information was confidential. How did you learn of it?
I know of it, that's all.
Why are you here?
Because Her Majesty asked me to accompany her, of course. I am, let's say, her lady-in-waiting, that's it. Although that's not really my greatest talent.
I don't doubt it for an instant, Constance. But helping me doesn't seem to be among your principal qualities either.
To be sure, but a young man of such wit ought to know better how to get what he wants. César, I have a favor to ask of you.
Yes?
I know your father prepares love potions that are said to be very powerful. I have to admit, I'm curious. I have a piece of ambergris, which is supposedly an aphrodisiac, but I don't know how to prepare it. Take it and do what's necessary, and I'll be much more cooperative. And who knows, maybe you'll be tempted to try it.
That Constance is really something. Perhaps I'd better bring her the potion under my true identity, because as César, the situation could be a wee bit embarrassing.
You're home, sweetheart. It's night time already. I must have been asleep for ages.
That's true, but you must have needed the rest. How do you feel?
Tired, but I'll be all right. Well, young lady, how did your day go?
It was gloomy, to tell the truth. I searched Chavigny's office. What a shifty one he is. And then I discovered one of the guards dead, before I met a certain Constance.
Another death?
Yes, he was stabbed.
You have to hurry to uncover who is working to make the prophecy come true.
I found 2 quatrains written by you that are similar to the prophecy. But what's disturbing is that everything's happening exactly as in the quatrain corrected by Chavigny, and not as in the original verses.
Interesting. That leads one to think that either Chavigny's talents have developed, or that there's a killer inspired by his writings.
I'll try to learn more tomorrow. Oh, I also found among Jean Aimé's things a chart with no name on it for someone born on December 13th, 1553, if I recall correctly.
Are you sure of that?
Yes. Why?
That date is familiar. I'd be ready to bet that I worked on that chart. Take this key and go and look in my desk drawer. I may have kept a trace of it.